Hello, children. I'm back. So, really, I have just a continuation kind of what I talked about last week in terms of trusting that the universe knows what language to speak to you through. And I had mentioned that mine, sorry, I'm moving all this around, but anyway, I had mentioned that mine seems to primarily be movies and pop culture, which, I've been accruing such massive amounts of useless information for my entire life, and now they at least seem to be getting me somewhere, or, helping me interpret things that can potentially be really helpful. So, I told you the Samuel L. Jackson thing and the George Michael thing and the heart and brain thing last week. So, in this past week, I've had a couple other things happen. And again, this is really just a continuation for the most part. But I want to drive home that exactly what I said. The universe knows your language, and it knows what you understand and what you'll get and what you'll pay attention to and what you will most feel comfortable to interpret and to trust. So that happened in a few ways for me this week. One, in doing that same love meditation that I was talking about last time with Samuel L. Jackson, in fact, it was that same part of the meditation where you're supposed to ask your heart or yourself if there's a message for you. And like I said, it's always pretty vague for me if I get anything at all. But yesterday, which was a day that I had arguably much less chill than I should be having for someone who's trying to manifest things. But during that same part, I didn't have Samuel L. Jackson yelling at me this time. Instead, I had Frau Farbissina from Austin Powers not yelling, "Send in the clones," but rather, "Just wait a month," because in relation to the thing that I've been trying to do. So I've been told a few weeks ago, like, it's going to be a month, and patience is not my virtue. So Frau Farbissina yelled at me, and that got my attention. Another part of the same meditation involves, like, there's a visualization of, like, imagine a seed, and, that this is your intention in the seed, and then plant it, and it's like a whole thing. And so, despite trying to imbue this image with my own spin on it, or my own energy, like, it just wasn't really jiving. And then all of a sudden, like, in the middle of meditation one day, it was like, boop, popped into my head, the movie James and the Giant Peach, when he gets all those seeds from that guy, which was the seed for the peach. Well, no, it wasn't the peach seed ultimately, but it was the thing that made the seed go crazy, or make the peach go crazy. But it was like those little bouncy green seed looking things. And so as soon as I got that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that gels. And it was like just a very easy transition, and like then it all kind of clicked into place. And then the other thing that I've had happen is I've been experimenting with this kind of like new way to do a distance healing. Now, I haven't done healing in ages, and I decided I wanted to try to pick it back up. And I used to do Reiki. I didn't do it regularly, but I've got the attunements and stuff. And for me, I'm just like, oh, well, it's been so long, and, I'm rusty and this and that. And, and I know that that's not technically true, but, our hang-ups and all that. But anyway, so I've been experimenting with this new way of trying to heal at a distance. And after doing it a couple times and kind of questioning whether what I'm doing is working or not, it occurred to me that it is not dissimilar to the Care Bear stare. And once that was in my head, I'm like, well, okay, well, obviously what they did was pretty effective. And, you know, and not only that, because obviously, you know, I'm just as prone to doubting signs as anyone else, unfortunately, despite my best intentions. But right after that occurred to me, and I came out of meditation, I went on Facebook, and someone happened to post a meme that had the Care Bear stare on it. I'm like, okay, well, and that's a message to me. That's the universe telling me in my language, like, hey, this is a thing, you know. So that's how the universe is speaking, and it will make efforts to communicate with you over and over, however you need to be spoken to, as it were. And the other thing that I did have happen was, again, during that same meditation where you're asking like for a message specifically in the context of that meditation, you know, it wasn't someone yelling at me this time from a movie, and it wasn't a vague message from a heart comic. The other thing that I did get was I got an image from a tarot card. And obviously, you know, I read tarot, so I'm pretty familiar with what the images, like what card goes to what image, and kind of like what the archetypes are with that, and blah, 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 whatever. But I saw a tarot card presented to me, and that was the first time that had happened. So after I was done, you know, I kind of had to think on it, and then I went to the internet to kind of confirm my suspicions, and the thing that I had missed in my interpretation was the first thing I found when I looked at it online, and I knew was incredibly on point. Once again, a message I knew was for me. So that's been really interesting, and I would just really encourage and invite you to, you know, just have a think on, you know, what is the language that the universe is speaking to me through? You know, is it, you know, is it movies? Is it TV shows? Is it animals? Is it, you know, I know a lot of people get, like songs and stuff on the radio. There's something I've heard of called radio divination, which like you can do it purposefully, and it's, you know, ask whatever your question is, and then just like spin the dial, and whatever it stops on, whatever the first clear thing is that you stop on a station, is your message. But you know, all kinds of stuff like that. Someone recently just told me that pickup trucks, like specific pickup trucks, mean different things to them. So I mean, it can be as specific as that, you know. So yeah, like I would just really encourage everyone to like have a think on it, and you know, once you think you know what it might be, boy, like it really just kind of opens up for you, because it's now like it's like understanding, like it's like, excuse me, sorry, it's like having a phrase book when you go to a country versus being fluent in a language. You know, there's like bits and pieces you can compile together, and you can get done what you need to have get done. But as time goes on and as you use it more, you become more and more fluent, and you don't need that phrase book so much anymore. But you know what it is you're working toward, you know? And it's just grasping it and using it and trusting that you're on the right path when you're doing it. And a little guess and check. So yeah, just wanted to share that. And if you do know what your language is, what your universe language is, or what it speaks to you through, definitely like throw it in the comments. I would be so curious to see what everyone's got. And, you know, aside from that, if you like the video, like it, or hit subscribe and notifications, and it'll tell you like when one of these goes up. And as ever, my Patreon is below as well, and there's fun stuff on that every month depending on what tier you look at. So thanks again, and I'll see you soon.